Welcome once again here on the Regional Radio Sports Network. My name is Paul Counter, President and Founder of Regional Radio Sports. It's time for the Scott Cooper Show, Season 2, Edition Number 2. Coop, great to hang out with you. We're going to be talking with Bobby Barnes here, your great soccer coach here. Done a wonderful job at the women's program. They are making great strides, but I know this is the weekend of the much-anticipated first ever inaugural. Can we get all those first ever inaugural, all those things right in there? All right, the first Hall of Fame event. So I know this is an exciting time, especially for the inductees who are coming back here and the people who are going to be involved. Let's just talk about the goal and the mindset of really establishing something that really has kind of honored those who have come and gone and really paved the place for what we're doing today here at IU South Bend.
Yeah, I think anytime you have an athletics department, one of the things you're trying to do is teach people life skills, and part of that is being bigger than something, or being part of something bigger than yourself. And I think in order to do that, you've got to create some history, and it's something that we don't have a whole lot of, because a lot of our sports started in the last 10 years and or less in a lot of cases. So but with our men's and women's basketball programs in particular, they've been around for, I think women are in season 30 or 31 and men are, in 34, 35, somewhere in there. So, we've got some places to start and some good people to work with, and none better than maybe our two original NAIA basketball coaches, and Mary Wisniewski and Jerry Jones, who basically started the athletic department for lack of a better term. Jerry was up until, I stayed around for as long as I have, the longest tenured men's basketball coach we had. He was the athletic director for a while, and Mary obviously was the very first NAIA women's basketball coach and very successful here, and he even served as the interim AD for a while. So I think starting with those two is a great way to get some sense of where we've come from and what we're capable of doing here and where we're going. And then from the athlete standpoint, having our first All-Americans in school history, and Tim Williams, who was the first All-American of any kind in school history, and also the first athlete to earn any kind of CCAC superlatives, and being player of the year, and I believe it was 97, 98 if I'm not mistaken. And then Amy Berger was the first women's basketball All-American here.
She was really good.
Yeah, it just gives you a sense of, again, kind of set the table for what's possible here and where we can go. And I think when you're talking about, I always reference it to, Bob Beamon breaking the 4-minute miles. Everybody thought that was impossible for a long time. And after he did it, I think 16 people did it the next year or something like that. So I think it's good to create a sense of, community with our alums, and again, just kind of see where we've been, where we're going, and what we're capable of, and making sure that those that, kind of propped us up to go there are honored properly.
Well, one of the neat things you talk about creating a legacy, you talk about creating a positive situation. The guy to your left has really done that, Bobby Barnes, who's the women's soccer coach here at Indiana University South Bend. And I know you guys go a long way back, and I know that it's good to see you got a couple guys with ball caps here on the show today. I'm always excited to see Bob, because Bob and I, and we do that little, nod of the cap there. It's like, we're coming in and out off the pitching mound to the crowd, but we're kind of that way. But we're all kind of old school. But you guys go back. I want you to share with our audience the story, because you guys go back to the days where I think you were in the OH, right? Somewhere in there.
Yeah. So it's funny because we figured it out a little bit more. But when I was an athlete at Allegheny College, I had a work study job shagging balls at soccer games, and that was at Bobby's teams that year. My senior year, they won the national championship in NCAA Division III. And so I made it a point, I've told him this before, I made it a point that, nobody wants to be the person behind the goal, because especially at Allegheny, there was a big set of woods behind there. You had to go digging into the woods every time a ball missed and all that stuff. But I knew how good they were, so I graciously volunteered to go behind the goal during their game, and really just sat there talking to his goalie the entire game, because the play was all down at the other end of the field. Go Gators! So, but then back in what was that, 2011, I went to be an assistant coach at Ohio Wesleyan, where Bobby was still serving as the head coach for the women's soccer team, and got to know him there through his we'll call it Halloween festivities there that he used to throw at his house. And long story short, we ended up being housemates there for a couple years. He used to rent out parts of his house to different assistant coaches and head coach. We had the head football coach in there for a while there too. And so I was, I lived with them up until I got this job. And then, when we decided we were going to start women's soccer, Coach Bruce was the athletic director. He kind of asked, like, hey, do you know anybody? Because I kind of helped out with some of those with our other coaches. And Bobby had just left Ohio Wesleyan. And was like, hey, I got a guy, might be a little overqualified for starting a program, but I don't even know if he'd do it. But they reached out, and the first time I reached out to him, I said, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And he's kind of hemming and hawing around it, and then finally he comes up one day to just, hear us out, and I don't know what the heck was said in that room over there, but about 20 minutes later they come out and like, hey, we got us a new soccer coach. I was like, all right, sweet, so obviously reconnected on that.
Well, the most notable thing here is that Bob decides to come over after an unbelievable resume of success, but he comes at probably the worst time in the history of athletics as we're coming through the COVID stuff. And so there were so many obstacles along the way. And as you see this team starting to have some success this year, not only did he have to come here and kind of get used to what it was going to be here, but he also had the greatest obstacle that we've seen in NAIA sports with the COVID scenario. So it was important for you to make sure that the landscape was clear for him to be able to do what he needed to do to have success. And now we're seeing some of the fruits of that. And it shows to his character to continue to believe, to trust the process of doing what you need to do to be successful, because he's been there and done that, right?
Yeah, and there's nobody I'd trust more to do that. Obviously, we all had struggled through that time, right? But none of us were trying to start a program at the same time. So when we're restricted on being able to get out and recruit at that, especially in that first year there where we weren't allowed to leave campus, that's you're relying on highlight videos and things like that just, there aren't a lot of, and it's not the most reliable sources. So to continue to stick with it is just, I think, a testament to his character. And one thing I failed to mention is, like, Bobby was actually in our wedding, was part of our wedding party there. So when Coach Bruce is asking me, do you think he can handle this? I was like, yeah. This is a guy I trust in every way a human being can. And obviously he's done a great job, and now we're kind of on far more stable ground, and I think moving in a really good direction.
Bobby, is that the way you see the story? Was there some other things in there that we can add to our, or maybe a little bit more colorful?
Well, I tell you what, Scott was a huge part of it. I'd visited, I think, maybe a year or two prior, coming through, and then just looking at the opportunity was a lot of conversations about the area, about the athletics here was huge, and then just talking with Steve kind of sealed the deal. With that. But it's, and then we also had another one of our roommates who was starting a golf program here, and just the kind of the familiarity, big Ohio Wesleyan vibe, through the department, very, very positive, and kind of the commitment to excellence. And one thing, maybe we'll get to it later, but the support throughout, it has been a journey, but from the athletic directors to the chancellor to everybody, it's been made things a lot more
what's kind of unique, Coop, and I want to bring this back to really, let's go to IU Bloomington, and you look at the new football coach, and you look at, I remember him coming in as he was recruiting guys, and he says, if you want to have anything to know about me, just Google me. I win. Google me. And seriously, if his Bobby could have basically said the same thing to his athletes. I don't know if you did, Bobby, say that to your athletes. Say, Google me, because look what we've got here. Because you had that laundry list of championships and success. Wasn't that really? It's kind of a similar and a parallel story, right?
Yeah, although far more humility on our end. I think.
Yes.
I've known Bobby for whatever it's been now, 13, 14 years, and we've certainly talked about his teams, his national championship teams and his conference championship teams and all that stuff like that. But he never talks about them with the word me or the word I.
Right.
It's always we. And truthfully, he's not talking about in some sort of, I don't want to knock on the guy at IU, but he's doing a great job. But any kind of arrogance. He's talking about the people we coach,
sure,
and all that stuff. And you can tell he's in it for the right reasons, even though he's been wildly successful. And, I remember we're playing in our the first conference championship game that we won. I guess it was the second one that we played in. And he came over to the game, and I'm picking his brain before the game, hey, what do you think? And he's just telling me, here's what, my philosophy was just be aggressive. Just little things like that have that kind of, resource here in the office has been huge for us and our other sports too. But, I don't know if that necessarily happens other places, to be that kind of teammate to everybody else and have that kind of humility to I've been there, done that. He could probably puff out his chest a little bit around here, and he doesn't do that at all.
Bobby, was there ever a greater challenge to come over here with a mindset of starting something new, coming over during the whole COVID problem that we had here nation or worldwide, if you will? Was there a greater challenge ever in your coaching career?
Not even close. And I think in what's from the backing of the administration's been incredible, but basically one of the biggest reasons, his tuition was hiking up towards $70,000, at Ohio West in my prior institution. I look at the quality of the education here at IU. I look at and I love in conversations with Scott, we have such a wide variety of, student athletes that come here from every financial range, from all over, a lot of it's from Indiana to Michigan to Illinois, Ohio, just some, a lot of local, a little bit more regional, but just the opportunity to give, student athletes in a wide variety of experiences, a great education, that's huge. And kind of focusing on that, as I set up a team, here's 25 to 30 players that are getting a great education, number one. And then as we build the program, I think that's a good foundation to start on.
I know that you lean strongly on your faith through this whole entire travels of getting to the position where you're at right now. Can you speak to how that's played into this thing for you?
Yeah, that's hugely instrumental, and that's, the backbone of, doing things the right way, treating the players, and, faith has kept me through. And there's, starting the program, and a lot of the players, kind of unbeknownst to me, they're not only getting a great education, but some of them are working 40 hours a week. They
That's
have family obligations as well, trying to run training sessions, just with a wide variety of circumstances, kind of dealing with things that didn't really have to deal with in my prior job. And so the strong faith keeps me going.
Each year you've closed the gap, and they're getting better. A big 10-0 win earlier in this week. Certainly, that's the most goals scored at any point in time during the program's history. And you hung tough with a very, very talented team last night in your game. So you're in the position where we're going to need to take the next step. And so I know that's something you've already been through, and you've already planned on that. But kind of give us an idea how you sit down with your athletes and say, hey, gals, this is what we're going to have to do to take it to the next level. You may not be the team that does that. You may not be the team that wins the first CCAC title. You may not be the first team that is going to get us to the NAIA tournament series. But look of the building blocks you are creating for future Titans.
Yeah, I think, first and foremost, getting the athletes, recruiting's a big part of that. Is probably the, biggest part in surrounding the players that have had two very good recruiting classes in a row, and just building upon that each year. And that's kind of a process, especially in a society that's, what's in it for me now kind of mentality. And obviously sometimes the wins don't come, but, always stressing, the process and the building. And that's why I got to hand it to somebody like Priscilla Ramirez, who's been here all 4 years, has seen just a dramatic increase. And even a player like America Esparza last year, here we are at an ID camp, and there's a wealth of talent. Most of them are coming in. She's like, I may not play it all next year, but I can't wait to see where this program goes. Talk about humility and just giving it up for the team. And when you surround yourself with athletes like that, kind of with that mentality, they know it's a process. They know, we're working for greater things, and trying to set up a team culture. And that's tough when you're, you can't bring in 15 blue chip athletes in one. So it's a little bit of a process, and getting better and better, each year, and just focusing on the process of bringing players that are buying into it and working hard.
Coop, we talk about culture a lot, and I'm going to talk about it on Sunday about creating culture. If you don't have culture, you can't have success. I mean, you can bring all the Division I players and put them all together collectively on a team, and you still have infighting. You have all kinds of different situations going on. I still think that the teams that are the most successful, and I always go back to the greatest team of all time, was the United States hockey team that won the Olympic gold in 1980. What they were able to do is Herb Brooks, the legendary coach, created a culture that was just as special can be. Can you talk about, from your perspective as a head coach and as the athletic director, about sitting down with your coaches and saying, here's the culture we want to create within your own team. This is the culture we want to have here within our athletic department. I know you have to have some, got to have your hands in some of those cookie jars, if you will, but you also want your coach to be his coach and run his program. But can you talk about establishing culture?
Yeah, I think it starts with the people you bring in, and their team's a great example of that. He talked about America Esparza right there, but even some of the kids he's got right now, like Yusuri Vasquez, who's just like really active on our campus and involved in every type of thing. That creates an interest, and that sets an example for some of the newer players. He's got Ana Estrada, I know, has been with the program for a few years now.
Yeah.
A kid who doesn't play a whole lot, but you can just see how much her teammates respect her, and again, it kind of sets the tone for everybody else. And it's the same thing within our athletic department. As we've hired new coaches, we've tried to make sure that in our search processes that all our staff are involved in that, because we want to make sure that we have people that are going to be good teammates, and Coach Bruce did a great job of that as athletic director, and I've tried to carry that on here. And so when we have an interview for a new coach, we try to make sure that every single coach is either on the committee or involved in the process some way. So Bob was walking our new softball and volleyball coaches around just to get to know them personally, so we could get some input on some things that maybe we couldn't ask during an interview. And if HR, if you're listening right now, that's he didn't ask any inappropriate questions, I promise. I think the people you bring in set that foundation, and then the standards you hold everybody to are what maintain it. And if you've got the right people, that second part's really easy to do.
And it's also a lot easier when you have an athletic department that's relatively small compared to some schools. Grand Valley State, where they got 9,000 sports. That's a hyperbole, by the way. But, those are the kind of situations that makes it really, really difficult. Your athletic department, there's a lot of athletic directors that probably don't even know the names of the athletes that are playing at their school. Your athletic department is small enough. The coaches are a tight enough group where you know the names of the athletes. And when they walk down the hall or whatever the case may be, stop through here, you know who they are. And that's a really unique situation. And, Bobby, I'm also thinking that's got to be another great way from a recruiting standpoint, that the athletic director knows your name. Everybody in the athletic department knows your name. It's close enough. It's close in that situation, but it also gives you an opportunity to grow. And I think that's a great culture to be in.
And I think when we get back to team culture real quick, it's nice in the winter between our men and women's basketball programs. When you talk what they're trying to stress, you see it every single day. I would say the both basketball teams are well attended. They're doing great things, especially tournament time. They're accomplishing so much, being great representatives. But when I have players coming back, it's like, man, the culture's great. The attitude is, it's just a great example for other teams to follow that are, trying to get to that level of status and recognition and excellence. And it's great to see it every day, pretty much. And it's nice that the support, it works out schedules. Obviously, it's here in the middle of campus. There's a lot of sports fans, but it's great. The attendances are very strong, especially amongst the athletic teams, but then to see it firsthand, at each and every basketball game is great to see.
If I would have asked you this question in year one and asking you this question now, are you happy with the progress of where you're at based upon the speed bumps? And I mean, some of those were just little bumps, but some are really big bumps. Some of them were hills.
Yeah.
Are you happy with the progress?
I tell you what, this talking in a great week, coming off a 10-0 victory, and then we just played Trinity Christian, and here's I think they've been probably 3 of the last 4 NAIA tournaments. Incredible coach, and Josh has done just an amazing job. And in midway second half, we rattled one off the post, almost went up 1-0. They come down, score a goal, so 1-0 to one of the top teams in the conference. And then the number 1 team, St. Francis, it was 2-1 in about the 83rd minute.
Wow.
Which is absolutely incredible. So when you look at the top 3 teams, and then obviously did real well, a 10-goal effort. We have 2 freshmen. One had 4 goals, Olivia Enyart, and then Ava Gutyan had 3 goals. To see them reach a level of success, and that kind of took us, to the next game, Trinity Christian, and it's been a process, and I wish, we were talking like early on, hey, take 2 or 3 years, and then COVID hits. It's just taking a little bit longer, but appreciate the patience and just the commitment to the program, especially from the upperclassmen, but then the underclassmen adding quite a bit to that to get where we are.
You and Steve had to be very, very patient during this journey for Bobby to go on. Was there at any point in time that you said to yourself, "Hey man, we got to do more to help this guy"? Is there anything we can do to help him, encourage him? Because you knew he was going to win. It was just a matter of when.
Yeah, I think we're trying to do that with all our teams. Obviously our resources for men's and women's basketball are pretty well established because we've had the teams for a long time.
Sure.
With our other teams, we were operating without scholarships for a long time, and Coach Bruce was able to finally get them some money here. And part of the reason you're seeing them take steps forward is they're able to now maybe recruit a higher level of athlete, while still bringing in the quality of character that they've done in the past. And so I think that's been a big push for us, and we're trying to do some things to continue to increase those type of resources so that we can continue to make that progress. But the one thing I think that's been really great about all our coaches, including Bob, is like they've all kind of had the right attitude about it, knowing that this thing is going to be a process, that it just doesn't happen overnight, that especially in his case where you're starting a program from scratch, or even like our softball and baseball coaches are taking over programs that had only been around for a year or two. Like that's not like just something, because you literally have no reputation on which to recruit, right? You have nothing's ever happened in the past, so it's not easy to do. But again, you see how competitive they're starting to be, and I think that I can't remember who I was, Bela Karoli, with the gymnastics coach there, that I heard him say one time during the Olympics that the whole process of this thing is you got to learn how to play, you got to learn how to compete, and then you got to learn how to win. And the play start, if you don't even have a team, that process is going to take a lot longer.
Sure.
Just getting the kids in that can play, and then obviously they're in the point now where they're learning how to compete, and the wins will probably be what follows next. But that those three things don't stop at any point just because just because you move on to the next phase of all that, and that's an ongoing process. But I really think that they're in a good spot and moving in the right direction. So,
do you feel fulfilled because of seeing your friend have the success?
Yeah, it's just great to have him around the office, man. That's the one thing. We talked about, like when we worked at Ohio Wesleyan, we had 20 whatever sports it was, 21 sports, one team, I think was the phrase, right? Yeah. So there were tons of coaches. We had full-time assistant coaches, and it was a great place to work because of the personalities, all the people you got to work with, and all the personalities. Where you come here, and when I first started here, it was men's, women's basketball, and volleyball, and no coach, no assistant coaches were ever around, and all that stuff, and just to kind of build that, to have people here that we can just have a conversation with during the day, and obviously somebody that go back as far as we do with Bobby, that has been great and just made it a better place to work.
Bobby, if a potential recruit, mom and dad are watching the Scott Cooper Show here, season 2, edition number 2, and you have an open microphone to say, this is why I want you to come and be a Titan. What is it?
Yeah, I think the initial reason, when you look at the education in Indiana University education, we have a wide variety. Females can major in anything they would like and pursue it and succeed. But when we have from the dental hygienes, the nursing, education majors, which are very popular, reason why there's a huge female population here on campus. And basically when I was talking to Steve and Scott, I'm like, this is a gold mine when you look at the soccer talent in the area, you look at the education, and then kind of the big one of the biggest reasons, the affordability. So you're getting a first class education. The affordability is unbelievable. Most of these soccer players are academic geniuses, which is great. Even Jay, our men's soccer coach at Ohio Wesleyan, how's it feel where everody is smarter than you? And it's
exactly.
Like, that's
I understand. I do that every day when I go to work.
I got used to it. And then they're even knocking off a couple thousand off tuition that way, an already affordable tuition. So if you want to get a great education, great soccer experience, it's probably the most affordable. This is where you do it.
I know I could say this, and this is probably the only show I can say this. I have 3 IU South Bend young ladies in my life. Two of my daughters are IUSB grads, and my wife Tanya is an IUSB grad. So I can vouch to the success that we've had by being a part of this institution. So congratulations, Coach, on a great year. Let's see you get to that next level the next time around. Coop, got anything else?
Well, I'm not sure how much time we've got left. I'm going to get to my rapid-fire questions here real quick since we're on the thing. I'll skip my my draft gimmick. But so, Bobby, you and I have talked a little bit about some of this here. But for those who don't know, I believe you still have the record for longest win streak in NCAA soccer history, men or women, at 60. won 2 national championships during that time, and finally that. But what people don't know is what school ended that streak.
Ooh,
my!
It was a cold, gloomy day on a rain-filled soccer field, the Swamp in Meadville, Pennsylvania.
Go Gators, baby! Go
Began
Gators.
and ended the winning streak. We had a 2-referee system because one of the referees did not show up. We could not take corner kicks in 2 of the corners on that miserable day. And they score early, and it's like, this is the worst thing that ever happened.
And that ended the
That is
streak?
truth.
I like to make sure that people are reminded that it was the Allegheny College Gators who brought down the dynasty. But we
That stinks, man.
We talked about this a little bit after the Calumet game the other day, but again, as part of that streak, you've coached ever many All-Americans and all-time leading scorers, and Ohio Wesleyan soccer history, which is really saying something for those who aren't familiar with Ohio Wesleyan soccer, men and women. Google them. With all those players and all that time, what was the first game in which you ever had 2 players score hat tricks or record hat tricks?
The first time ever in my coaching career was it last weekend at Newton Park, where we had Olivia Enyart and Ava Gutyan score 4 goals, 3 goals respectively. So all these, I think, put 10 players in the Hall of Fame at Ohio Wesleyan. A lot of them are forwards, being a forward, but this is the first ever double hat trick in my entire career, which is pretty exciting.
It is.
That's really something when you consider the past where you're coming from. I can't imagine it's the first 10-0 win.
Right.
And I'll just, again, we ran a little bit long here, so I'll just stop with this last one here. But if you've got 24, 25 kids on the roster this year, which is really great. I think a lot of personalities, and as AD, I've got to know them maybe a little bit better than I did prior. But
Right.
if you've got to pick one player on your team who, let's see, I'm trying to pick a thing here because you've got a lot of personalities who
Right.
may or may not be the most intimidating person of all the female athletes we have here. Who would it be?
Gotcha. I think somebody that, talking to our high school coach, probably one of the most passionate, kind of hardworking, kind of the lifeblood, one of our caps, Haley Marsh, from Delaware, Ohio, where is a radiography student. She's probably ranked number 1 in the radiography program. Just her desire. She was here over the summer. We'd work out 2 or 3 times a week, and had a shortened season last year. She was running on the East Coast, had stress fractures to get her back on the field. And just as a leader, and just her kindness and humility and work ethic is just incredible. So somebody that kind of flies a little bit under the radar, but had the game-winning goal, actually playing in a different position in the Calumet game, and actually had the one 2 years ago as well. But she's, just kind of epitomizes everything we're trying to do.
That doesn't sound intimidating at all to me. I think you completely misunderstood the question, but we're out of time, so it's okay. We'll come back. No, she's a great kid.
In her work ethic and somebody that may not on the surface, but I'm sorry, just that brings it every single day and won't give you a second off.
Well, that's going to do it for the Scott Cooper Show, Season 2, Number 2. Thanks again to Bobby Barnes. Any questions, Google him. That's all we have to say. For Scott Cooper, for the legendary Tanner Camp, who's directing our program, as well as the legendary Andrew Kirksey, our video editor. Appreciate you joining us here today on Regional Radio Sports. I'm Paul Condry. Thanks for joining us.